Timothy Bankett?
Yes, yes, Don. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a diagram for last session, and it had like the central and local repository, and they had multiple lines going. I didn't get the last layer of the diagram. Some of the stuff was like activate. It was doing that checkout, check-in stuff. I wonder if you could display that for a minute. I wanted to sketch that back here.
Sure, definitely. Not a problem.
If you can identify what I'm talking about.
Sure, definitely. So I think you're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can see your screen, but there was another one. I got that one. This had to do more with the check-in. Well, that one does. Yeah, it was probably this one here. Relation between central and local. Yeah, all right. Give me a minute here. Category repository, yeah. I didn't get the lower level of what those objects were down there. Local repository user
A. Okay. So actually what happens here is, so we have one central repository and we have three local repositories like local repository A, local repository B, and local repository C. When I say A, B, and C, these three are local repositories are specific to three different developers in a project. So let us take an example that the local repository A is belongs to Don, the local repository B belongs to Chandra, and the local repository the local repository C belongs to the Karen. So they have their own user IDs to log in into their local respective repositories. And there will be only one central repository, whatever the process that I've shown you yesterday. So that particular process, so each and every local repository will be responsible to do an activation of the central repository from their respective local repositories. So you have to log into your local repository and you are going to check out. Check out means if anybody did a check-in, the code. When I say check-in, if I go to the previous slide, see here, check-in means, so somebody is saving the information, saving the project, saving the job, saving the workflow, data flow, data stores, and transforms and functions, custom functions, everything into the central repository. That process is called as a check-in. So they are saving their work into the central repository. That process is called as a check-in. Okay, that is one thing. And in the test environment in general, the administrator, BODS administrator will have an access to test, or you can say that the quality environment. So he has an access, and from that environment, on the different physical box, he will have only one local repository that is specific to the BODS administrator, and he will get the code from the same central repository. The central repository will be activated from the test local repository also. And whenever this central repository is activated from the test local repository, the code will be get from the central repository to the text local repository. So getting my point on what I'm to say here?
Yes, I think that's good now. It was the second diagram, like I said, that I hadn't completed sketching what it was, so I wasn't sure all what the components were. But I didn't have the bottom layer of local repositories in there, but I think I understand the concept. I'm I'm familiar with check-in and check-out to SourceSafe, and we also have TFS.
Right. Yes. And this is a very important, the concept of the central repository. The central repository is very important from the migration standpoint. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, and I mean to say this slide, so if you say that from development to test and test to prod, if you want to migrate the things, you are normally advised to use a central repository. So now we will discuss the one important point before start of today's session. So as we mentioned in previous the session, saying that like we have something called a central repository, and we have something called a local repository, and these two should be in sync. So we have discussed on all these things actually. But so you will get it out like what are all the different methods, how actually we can do a migration, or what are the benefits of central repository benefits. What are the benefits actually? The benefits of central repository would be actually to do a migration of code. That is one thing. And the second thing is to version management of the code. Version management of code. I think in the previous session, so I already shown you how actually the version management can be done, how actually we can define a label for that particular version. So all these things that will be very important from central repository benefits standpoint. And we can also have, create in central repository, so we can have two types of central repositories actually. One is called as a secured central repository. Second one is called as non-secure central repository. So whatever the central repository that we have created yesterday, that is comes under the non-secure central repository. And there is one more concept. Whenever we are trying to create the central repository, you can say that secure central repository. So let us see here in the data services repository manager. Whenever I have a central, here we have something called as enable security. When I say enable security, the option is checked, then it will be a secure central repository. So let us see like how actually it will work out. So I'm trying to create a central repository where that is secure. So, but the rest of the process is very much similar. You don't have to confuse yourself. We can create two types. One is called as a non-secure. Whatever the repository that we have created yesterday, that is called a non-secure central repository. Now we are trying to create a secure central repository here. And here, I think yesterday we have created one, right? We will try to override that. Let us see. Right, this is what actually we have created. Copy. So SAP user 14 underscore central. That is what we have created yesterday. Now I will go to the programs, repository manager, central, enable security. We have something called as Microsoft SQL Server. P6. See here, the valid central repository with named central SAP user 14_central is already exists. If you continue, it will overwrite an existing. Okay, I don't have any problem. It will overwrite. So it is trying to create a central repository now of secure in nature. In the meantime, we will try to log in into the central management console. Right. So we have created the secure type of central repository. Now we will try to log in into the central management console. I just clicked on it. Now we have to go to the data services tab here. Data services tab. And we have to search for the same SAP user_central. SAP user_central. I just clicked on it, but it's taking some time to come up. So SAP user_central. I just clicked on it. It is taking some time. A lot of pages. Unfortunately, we don't have any search option here to search for. So SAP user. Maybe we will get it in next screen. Let us see. Yes, SAP user_central. Okay, so I just click on the text connection now. Successfully created. So I've given everything, right? So maybe I will pass once again the password. Of course, it is not also required. It is a secure connection and save. I think it's better to remove this because it's see here it is still showing non-secured central. So let us remove it rather than right. See here it's automatically changed now. Okay, I didn't delete it, but it has changed. Let us see whether I have really changed it or not. I have to go to the same page, 5th page. If I have accidentally deleted it, then I have to add it once again. So I'm just waiting for one more page to come up. Click on it. Right, it is central. Okay, it is there. Okay. So now as usual, so we'll go to our regular the place within the local repository. So I'm just trying to open the project here. Go to this location. Now what I will do is go to tools, go to central repositories, and deactivate it, and I will activate it. And here I will mention the password. Okay. See here, it says that the login failed for user SAP user 14 because the user is not active, and contact your administrator to set up secure central repository groups and users. So that is what actually happens here. So it says the repository is registered and remove the central repository not design or re-add it. Central repository, it's not an active. Okay, not a problem. You don't have to worry for this. Right. So currently, so this is an inactive mode. So because why is it inactive mode? Because we have created the what you call as the central repository with the secure connection, with the secure central repository. So why we have defined the secure central repository means here we can define a set of groups, and in the groups we can define which groups actually need which access actually. So if you remember in the previous session, so we have gone through something called as so after check-in, what are the rights you have, whether we can have a full control or whether we can have a view and access and all and everything, so that we can define the central repository. Now, so what it is saying, because we have defined a secure central repository, it is saying that please define groups, please define like the respective the members of the groups and etc. All these things that will be done, that will be taken care in the tool called as Data Services Management Console. The cleanup, so whatever we have did in the what you call as central management console of the business objects. But whereas we have one more that is called as the Data Services Management Console, and this Data Services Management Console will take care of everything. Anyway, like we have to discuss regarding the SAP and BODS integration also, where also you are going to log in and you are going to see all these things. So SAP user 14. I'm just trying to show you where actually groups can be created. Normally these things, the entire thing will be taken care by the BODS administrator, but I will give you the gist of it, where actually you have to define. If you have multiple groups in your company, so like what are the projects that I'm working on, so they have made it like like a division of BW, entire BW is one team. We have something called another team where it comes under the analytics. So that is another team, something like that. So all these things that will be matters whenever you want to or your group has to be divided. We have something called an administrator. So we will see that there is a separate section for this. So what is the DS management console? What are the activities that we can perform and all that? Okay, so this is how actually the central management console you are going to proceed with. So one local repository guy, so he is going to check into the central repository, and once he is done with his checking in the next environment, I mean to say in the test environment or in the quality environment, the administrator is going to import the code or is going to get the code from central repository. So that is what actually he is going to do. I just clicked on administrator tab in the DS management console. It will take some time, the very first time, because we are trying to open on this particular screen, on this particular system. So that's why it will take some time. So now, So we learned that how actually the central repository will be used for the migration, right? So now we will also see that what are the other processes actually. So in conjunction or in parallel we can use for the migration purposes also. Other processes are, so let us take an example that so we have developed this particular job. So we have something called as JB underscore while loop underscore 6AMISC. Let us see that JB underscore while loop underscore, where is that? JB underscore while loop. While loop. Right, this is the job. So when I say right click, see here export. When I say export, so what is saying here? See, click on export. See here, what are all objects that you want to export? These are all the objects and these are all associated data stored for that, and this is an associated file format for this particular job. So right click, if I try to see here export to repository, export to repository means to another repository if you have. So let us take an example that if I click on an export to repository. So here I have an option to send the code from one local repository to other local repository. Okay, so what we learned here actually in the multi-user environment, so local repository 1 has to check in the code into the central, and the local repository 2 guy, maybe he will get the data from the central. So that is the normal and the standard process needs to be followed always. But there are some, like the workarounds, or there are some other options also given. So on the fly, maybe sometimes we can make use of it, but not regular. And that is one thing. That is the point here is the local repository 1 guy can directly send his code to the local repository 2 guy. So that option is also there. So how he can send that? So that is the point here. So right click and export to repository. Export to repository means local repository. If I just click on it, so the BODs will ask you, okay, so you want to send it to local repository, but what is a local repository? If you want to send it to any local repository, you already have an access. Yes. If you want to do it, yes, you can do it. See here, we have something called as an SAP user 14. Maybe you have to log in next. In order to log in into that, you need to have a password for that. See here. So now we are logged into the BODS local repository and we are sending the code to the SAP user 14 local repository. The same job. So if you want to see here, it says that in the destination, this job is not there, so it will be created. Similarly, data flow. Similarly, flat file. Similarly, tables. Similarly, data source. These are all not exist in the source. So in the target, they didn't exist. So the BODS is going to create for all these things. Just click on next. Even these data stores are also not there. And this data store is belonging to the DBO group. Something like this. If you have any new owner also, you can define it. Okay. This is a file format. So you know that already there is one file path that might have used it while creation of a file format. And if you want, you can create your own file format for this particular file format, your own path actually for this particular file format. I just clicked on finish. Now what it's trying to do, it is trying to send the code from one local repository to other local repository. Now what I will do is I will try to go to the project and exit, and now go to start. Okay, that's fine. So I will try to log in with an SAP user 14. Let us see what actually it will do. SAP user 14. So remember that SAP user 14, the enterprise user will remain the same, but that the same enterprise user has an access to 2 local repositories actually. Okay, so I just clicked on it. So let us see whether I'm able to open the SAP user 14 or not. If it is there, then we are lucky. I don't have to go there and configure it once again. I have given the respective passwords. Great, great. Now we are able to see that. So immediately, whenever we are able to log in into the SAP user 14 local repository, so what we can do is go to the project in the batch job. See here, we are able to see our respective job. So that is a very, very important point that needs to be considered. Now you can create your own project, like maybe the project underscore demo that we can have. You can create it here. Project underscore demo. Created. That's it. You will have the respective data stores will come up. See here, these are all the respective data stores. They are already there. And you also need to have file format, right? The file format is also there. FF underscore Z product. You can right click, and if you don't want to use the same file format or file path, you can use a different one. So this is how actually from one local repository to other local repository, how actually the things can be done. This is very important from the data services standpoint, actually.
Venkat?
Yes, please.
Can we not, check in the whole project at a time and then, kind of import it or get from the repository, like the whole project, which has a
Yes, you can also do that. Yes, not a problem. So whatever I have shown you, you can do a project, single project. I mean, to say single project means the project will contain hundreds of jobs. Yes, you can do that. Similarly, jobs, you can do that. Similarly, only workflow also you can do that if you have anything. Similarly, data flow. Okay. Similarly, you can also do, see here, you can also do only one data store. That is also possible. Similarly, file format if you have anything. Similarly, if you have any custom functions that may have, see here, those also can be imported. So whatever the object that you are able to see here, so these are all default. See here, you can create your own transformations. Then those transformations also you can import or export. You can do that. A lot more things.
Okay.
Getting my point? What I mean to say, this is how actually. So you are going to export or import. Now I will again go back to the previous. Okay. See here. Now we are in the central management console. Not in the central management console. We are in the data services management console. And this is what we have created. See here, SAP user 14 underscore central. Now you have to define users and groups here. When I say users and groups, okay, I just clicked on it. It will take some time. So by the time it will come up, so we will try to log in with our the same the parent user ID and password what we have. That would be an SAP user the 14. With respect to password here. And we have something called as, oh, sorry, cancel. So BODS Where is the BODS? Yes, I have a BODS here. Login with respect to password here. So I can open my respective project. So as you asked, you can go to the project. We can have an entire project can be exported. That's it. Okay, so all the objects like the jobs in the project, the respect to data stores, the respect to file formats, everything can be exported without any problem here. Okay, you can right click here and you can export to repository. That's what we have understand. Okay, so now we have one more option saying that. So do we have any manual export of your data into a .atl file? Yes. So rather than moving the code from central to local, local to local, or local to central, so instead of doing all these things, we also have an option to make it save the code into a file. That file is called as a .atl file. So export to .atl file. You can say that this project underscore the 6 AM IST. This is the project name. I just saved on my desktop, and it will ask you what is the passphrase, something like the passcode to encrypt. So export it. So 7 jobs, 1 data flow, 8 data flows, 2 flat files, 3 data stores, and everything got migrated. It got exported into the .atl file. See here, this is what your ATL file. You can say that .atl file is a file where it will zip all your transforms, all your custom functions, all your what you call as jobs, workflows, data flows, data stores, file formats, and everything will get zipped and everything will be saved in the form of a .atl file. And this particular ATL file, if I send it to you guys, if I put it in the training blog, you can directly import the data, import the objects we have in the ATL into your local repository. That is also possible, and even that is, in fact, that is I'm going to do after the codes at the end of the code, whatever the jobs we have developed in the SAP BODS session. Everything I'm going to export, and I'm going to put it in a .atl file. And for other candidates, for the students, I'm going to send an email to them. Not a problem. So this is what actually happens. So project underscore 6 AM IST underscore ATL. Okay. So similarly, you can go ahead into the SAP user 14 local repository, other local repository instead of BODS. You can go to the tools and you can simply say that import from file. That's it. When I say import from file, I am trying to import the same data. See here, right click, click on it, and this is what the data and what files it will accept. It will accept these files. See here. Normally we have two options, .xml file and .datl file to import. So the BODS ETL code can be provided in .atl file or it can be provided in the .xml file. Okay, so for now we already have a .atl file. Right click and click on and select that particular file and click on open. And it will ask you what is the passphrase for that. And click on export. That's it. It will be automatically exported into your local repository. This is another way of doing that. Okay, these are the two types and benefits of it. But what is the type of migration? The type of migration in an SAP BODS. The type of migration can be with central repository or else with the .atl file or .xml file. These are the two ways actually you're going to migrate a code across the environments. Okay. So this is how actually, so you're going to perform an activity of import and export .xml file. Similarly, if you want to use a .xml file, yes, that is also possible here. So you can go to and open your respective project, and if you want to export that particular project to an XML, yes, that is also, you can do the right click and export, and right click here and export to XML. And sometimes what happens there is, in the data source, so if you remember in the data source what we will have a database connection. Okay, in file format you will have a file path. So that is in the development environment. So maybe, like in general what actually happens is, in the development environment the path and the database connection would be different than the test or the production. Okay, so that's the reason why normally what actually happens is we are going to exclude this particular data stores, right? Like exclude it, exclude it, exclude it. Exclude it. See here we don't have an option to exclude only the top one. You can exclude the entire one, something like that. So this is how actually, so you're going to proceed with the export. So whenever I'm trying to export into an .atl file, this ATL file doesn't have these data stores and doesn't have these file formats. And maybe in the test environment or in the production environment, they have their own the connection details. So what are the databases that you have used in the development? They are entirely different, and they may like point to only development environment. So this is how actually you are going to proceed with the usage of a central repository in detail. Now, on the other hand, as we are discussing the secure central repository, now see here. So, what are the groups that you want to have from central repository standpoint? So, these groups will be there while accessing which level of rights you want to have. Whether you want to have only read rights or to get a data from the central repository, or else you have a full control over the code, what other user has checked it into the central repository. All the information can be decided here. So because we are defining different groups here, those groups will go there and those groups will be shown in the what you call as in the central repository. So that is what actually happens here. So hope you understand what we're trying to discuss here, right? Okay, you can say that it's your BW group. So you can also have, the users can be created here. The users will be part of your enterprise groups. Those enterprise groups, they have to add here, and those will be applied to this particular window. Okay. So this is not that important actually in general. The companies will go for the secure. In some point, they won't be able to go for the secure also. Because the secure, what actually happens is they will have a maintenance the problem, and even though if you have only 2-3 the developers, you have to follow all the processes of defining the groups or which group you want to have which right. So all the things that you have to take care here from the users and the group standpoint. So that's the reason why normally, so whatever the things that we have discussed, so these things are from the secure central repository standpoint. So other than that, whatever we have discussed from the non-secure to central repository yesterday, that should be enough. That is fine. Okay. So hope you enjoyed the session of the central repository. So do you have any questions before I jump on to the next topic? Don, did you understand the central repository concepts? So I have made it quite detailed in today's session. Don? Right. So the central repository have to be secure if you want to define a group. Yes, you're right. So if it is not secure, then it doesn't require any groups. It doesn't require any concept of group. Okay. So you can also do that. Like so we can create. We can again change back to the central and don't enable it. Make it like SQL Server. Again, we have to take care of all these things. That's the reason why I'm not taking here. So v2 info PHP6. It is the same name. Yeah, it will overwrite. Now I'm changing from secure to non-secure. If it is a secure, then only in the central repository list you would be able to see. These are all the secure central repositories got created. Okay, and also we have created one more thing that is called as a profiler repository. See here, BODS6AMIS_profiler. If I click on this also, you will see some options. Like where they are related to the which level of the security the users wants to have. So all these things that you can understand. So from this particular the profiler. So normally you won't go this extent in your project. See here. So this is what actually we have submitted actually. Okay. So we have submitted these jobs, the task name, relationship, the profiling that we did at that time. So the last run of it, order details, so last run update, So all the stuff that we can see in the respective repositories. So do you have any questions, guys? Raju, Jayant, Acharya? No, without losing the data, no. So we cannot do it without losing the data. So whenever we say like non-secure or convert into secure, so it has to be enable security. When it is enable security, then automatically it will override. So it is not possible.
Could you dump the repository to an ATL file, then go back and make it secure and then reload it?
Very good point, you have raised it. But as a central repository, we cannot do that. If you want, whatever the, like the jobs you have, if you have hundreds of jobs, you can take the entire backup of your jobs. Okay, so you can right click and you can load it, everything to the .atl file. Then after that, you can overwrite it. Then, of course, in order to do that, you don't have to take the backup of the jobs and all everything. But as a safety purpose, you can take a backup. But if you want to convert that non-secure to secure, you don't have to do anything because already all your jobs are in local repository. So you don't have to take any backup. But if you take a backup, of course, you know that it's always recommended to take a backup. Any questions, guys? Any questions, guys? Okay, guys. So for the past 1 hour, is my voice is clear? Raju?
It's clear, Venkat.
Okay, thank you.
Way better today.
Okay. So what we need to discuss now is we are jumping on to the next topic. So that is called as try and catch. So try and catch block within an SAP BODS will play a major role to identify what are all the exceptions got raised. When I say exceptions, there can be a lot of problems. So from extraction, maybe from transformation, maybe at loading. So we have a lot more things have to be done in the entire NATL. The job may failure at various reasons. The job may failure because of the like the incorrect the database details. The job may failure because of the incorrect what you call as the table. The job may failure because of the if you have a file in a file path, and if you don't have a proper permission on file path, then the job may failure. So what may be the reason? That today maybe the job is a failure, job got a failure at database connection. Maybe tomorrow something else, and day after tomorrow something else. So instead of open the job and every day and try to identify the root cause, it is always recommended to have an automatic method or automatic technique where if we are going to schedule the job daily, I should get an email saying that, okay, the job is successful, maybe the job is not successful. If it is not successful, I need to get what is the root cause of it immediately in the mail itself, rather than like checking. So rather than checking in the job manually what's gone wrong, why the job got a failure, it is always recommended to go for an automatic technique where the automatic technique should allow one job to send alerts, email alerts in case of a failure, and in case of a success, then it will send an email. So that's the reason why the try and catch block will play a major role in each and every project. In fact, the try and catch is one of the template that will be used by the like all the projects. For all the projects, you know that right now we have something called the design template. There are some instances client will design the design template. They have to use you should not use table comparison. You have to use only query transformation. So all these things. The customer may come up with that template design template actually. Once the customer is came up with that design template, so you have to go ahead with your development of your activities. We can do that. That is one thing. And in that design template, the BODS will recommend that please put a try and catch block for each and every job, because you will get an email alert on your the company email. So by the time you wake up, or by the time you're going to sleep, so the job will get successful, and you will get a email notification saying that the job is successful or job is a failure. So, but in case of a failure, you should get what is the reason for that and what actually the exceptions you are trying to achieve from there. So now, these are all the exceptions. These are all the exceptions. Because of that, actually the job may fail. That can be execution error, that can be database access error, database connection error, flat file processing error. When I say flat file processing error, so that's what. So maybe the file looks fine now, but maybe the file format is different than what we have designed. Maybe that is different. Maybe repository access errors, SAP system errors, the system resource exceptions. System resource exception means maybe if your system is running lower in the virtual memory, then also the job will fail. Similarly, the BW connection. So maybe the connection is correct. Maybe whenever you have designed a job, once we have scheduled the job, Oh, we are not sure when actually the BW and BODS connection will broke, or when actually the SAP and BODS connection will break. So all these things you won't be able to control actually. All things. Similarly, maybe the database access is fine whenever you have developed the job. Maybe, but today the database access is down, or database access is not there. So similarly, the database connection, the logical connection or data store what we have created, maybe the connection details have changed, but you don't have any information for that. So that's the reason why. So what actually happens is, so maybe the job got a the success yesterday. Maybe it may failure. Maybe tomorrow success. But in case of a failure, I have to understand what is the reason behind that. So I can understand depends upon the code also. If I get 1001 code, then I will say that there is a execution problem. If I say that 1009 in my mail, then I will understand that this is an SAP BW execution. I have to check in the SAP BW standpoint. Something like that. Similarly, if it is a data quality transfer methods means maybe you are trying to do some data quality, maybe address cleanser, geocoding. If you are doing address cleanser, geocoding, so you will see, if we are getting data quality transformations as 1013, then you will realize that, maybe the data quality functions or packages or dictionaries or directories, what you have downloaded from SAP, they have expired. So for each and every 3 months, you have to get a new, what you call as new dictionaries or directories of new telephone directories that has to be taken as a reference for your address cleanse and geocoding jobs. So all the different information will be getting out of your exceptions. So that's the reason why exceptions will play a major role in identifying the root cause, where could be the problem, where actually the BODS has identified. So having this particular knowledge, so we will see that, so how actually the try and catch block will be used, and that if they're within the try and catch block, so how actually we are going to write the script in the catch block, and similarly how we are going to write a script in the normal script outside the catch block in case of a successful. So all these things that we will understand now. Now I will be jumping out of the server. I will take up a standard, the job. This is a job that we already have, and I want to understand. I want to implement a try and catch technique for this. When I say try and catch technique, so what I will do is I will try to do some modifications to an existing job. Like I will include one workflow. WF underscore while loop underscore 6cm ISC. I will remove all these. So I will place inside this particular workflow, and then I will take up a try and catch block. See here in the tool palette we have something called as try. Click here, connect it, and in the catch we have something. So whatever the block, whatever the ETL code, this is what my ETL code, ETL objects or development, whatever we did, this is my main area. So I am worried if anything happens to this particular block workflow. So whatever I want to do an analysis where actually my entire logic lies, I have to monitor that particular block. So that's the reason why whichever block you want to monitor, you want to monitor only data flow, then put the data flow inside this try and catch. I mean to say, like, you will let us take an example that this is the code we are doing, right? So what you can do is, see here, this is also can be done. So anything can be done. So you don't have to worry. So, but what I did is I just mentioned everything inside one workflow actually. Now you can connect these two, try and catch. So whatever the code that you want to monitor it, please put that entire code or logic inside this try and catch. So here we have a lot of problems here. So maybe we can get this file access problem, maybe the database access problem, maybe the selection problem, maybe the while loop problem itself, entire while loop. So we have to take care of any of these reasons. Maybe the job may get ran into failure. So now the try and catch will help us to identify where actually the problem is. So we cannot double click on the try. The try won't give us anything. But when I double click on the catch, see here it says that whatever you want to capture, exceptions, which exception you want to handle. So that's actually it is very important to consider. So we have something called an execution errors. We have something called the database access errors, database the connection errors, flat file processing errors. These are all the different things actually. The respective codes are also mentioned here. Now, so we are saying to the catch saying that in case of a failure, do this. What we are saying that in case of a failure job by any of these exceptions, then do this. So what actually you have to do? You have to identify or you have to say like exception handling. Exception handling. Okay, this can be done. Okay, 1 second guys, I will be back. 1 second. Yeah, thanks for being on hold. So in case of failure because of above reasons, so we have to go to the alternative solution. What is an alternative solution for this? This is where actually the exception handling comes into the picture. So when I double on the script object. In the script object, you can say that like lot more things you can mention here. Yes, you can say that print. In the print, you can say that job is failed. Job failed. You can say something like that. And what is the code we have? You can have anything. So you can have something called as error number. You can say that. Error timestamp also you can get that. When actually error got. So we can say that error number. Something like that. Okay. So let us see. Wantedly we will do some error, some mistake here. So let us see what it will happen. Now I will have taken the self project out of this. I'm removing this and I try to execute the job now. See here, job is failed with the error number 80101, something like that. Okay. So similarly, what we have here, if you need to have an error context. So what is an error context? Also you can write. So what is an error context here? Error context. Execute. The error context is job is a failure. What is the context? Data flow is df underscore file list. In that ff underscore z underscore product, the file format. Okay, this is the place actually it has got a failure. Now if you observe carefully, even the job got a failure, it says that it is completed successfully. So what it is saying that even the job got a failure, it will send a mail saying that job got a failure because of these reasons. But it will change the status from red to green. So I will tell you where you have to see the red to green. See here, if you go to the home here, in the home, in the DS management console, so you have an option to schedule the jobs. So by the time it will come up, okay, this is taking some time. The job is successfully ran here, but we got a context. So similarly, we can also have a lot more things like that. So what we have here in the exception handling, you can do lot more things. But what is the standard methodology? That is very important. So job is failure, but I would like to have a lot more things here. The things would be something like I want to send a mail to the set of people where they are responsible to perform an activity of receiving the mails. Sorry guys, I'm on mute, I'm speaking, sorry for that. So here we have something called as an SMTP underscore 2 is a function that I'm trying to use it in order to send an email to a lot of people where they are responsible, like to talk to the business users, and or maybe they are responsible for the respective the table where they are responsible to respective the product or whatever it may be. So we are going to use an SMTP underscore 2 function within an SAP BODS in order to send an email to the list of people, and they will get an email to their Outlook in case of any failure to the job. Now this is a syntax of it. We have something called a recipients list, subject, message, space log line number, error log line number, and etc. etc. That's what we have to give here. So when I say recipients list, so we have to mention the mail IDs of the people who have to receive the mail. Is the subject you have to mention the subject, what actually is the message of the video. Then the message I want you to say that what is the message. So in the message you can say that while loop is failed. Failure you can say that. So after that you can mention that what is the trace log line number. The number would be something like you can say that 60 lines you can have. Similarly, after that you can also have something called as error log line number, that is a 60. There is syntax of it. When I say log line number 60 and trace line number 60, so you can say that this is the log actually I am referring to. See here, this is the log. This is the trace log and this is an error log. Okay, so we are sending along with the mail, we also sending the trace log and we are also sending the error log. Both we are sending it to the users. So that's very important. So along with the mail, we are already sending a lot of like information to the users in their email. That is what actually happened here. So now so in the data services management console, if you remember in the administrator's blog, so by the time it will come up. So why I'm trying to tell you here is, if you observe carefully, previously, whenever the job got a failure, we didn't receive this message saying that a job is completed successfully. No, we didn't receive any such messages kind of thing. We received only the job got a failure if anything happens. If we put a try and catch, then only the job says that I am successful. In what way it is successful, that is what we will try to understand here. Sorry guys, you have to bear with it because I have clicked on the data services management console, and data services management console, it will eat away a lot of resources on the system because it will run on the Tomcat. Because it runs on the Tomcat, it will eat away a lot of your resources, and it will even slow down my voice and it will break down my voice. So that's the reason why I just clicked on it. So it will take some time to come up. So it is taking some time to come up. So by the time it will come up, so did you understand what I'm trying to refer here? It's a very important point to understand. So did you understand, guys, what I'm trying to refer here? So what about Jain, Raju and all?
Fine, Venkat.
Did you get these points? Raju? Yep. Raju?
Yeah, Venkat.
Mike? Did you understand what we're discussing today? You there, Mike? Okay.
Venkat, one question. Hi, Venkat.
Yes, please.
While sending an email attachment, when there is an error, right? Can we do any attachment there, like something the whole log or something like that?
Yes. Yes. The Raju. No, I'm not saying anything, Raju. So because I've closed the DS management console because it is eating away a lot of resources now. I think this should be fine now. So yeah, so let me answer your question. I got your point. The point here is, yes, you can send whatever the information that you would like to have. Something like in the exception block, see here, instead of this, like in the email, also you can put a lot of things. Lot of things like, see here, we can concatenate. You can do something called as error context. You can concatenate this particular information with the something called as an error underscore number. You can send that. Not a problem at all. You can always send that information. Not a problem. Okay. If you feel that along with the message, if you want to send it, yes, you can say that. You can also say a lot more things actually. So you can also say that the concatenated with you can include something called as I'm doing concatenation. I'm just simply adding up all the error number.
How about any attachments there? Any file attachment like that?
You can have an error message also. You can have it. Again, that can be
a file
concatenated with some other maybe error timestamp you can give. So all these different things are quite possible. Okay. So whenever we are trying to on the platform, see here I forgot the concatenation here. Yes. So this is how in the mail you can include the whole thing actually, error message, error context, and error timestamp and etc.
Can we attach a file, Venkat, here?
Attach a file.
For example, like
I got your point. Yeah. I got your point. If you want to attach a file, you have to, like what you can do is, you can call a Windows batch script kind of thing that you can call it, but directly it is not possible to attach. If you want to print the information as a table, it is possible. So getting my point, what I meant to say here, in the body of the mail, if you want to send like table, in the table if you need to have something like columns, if you want to do such kind of requirements, yes, you can do that. But as an attachment, it is not possible.
Okay.
Any questions, guys? Okay, so having this knowledge, we will try to discuss the next topic that is called as an error handling technique. So till now, whatever we have discussed, that is called as an exception handling technique. But the topic that we are trying to understand now is an error handling technique. When I say error handling technique, it is something like a recovery of jobs. When I say recovery of jobs, let us take an example that we have two workflows and each workflow is having three data flows. Let us take an example. If that is the case, actually what you have to do is, so you have to proceed with the execution of the workflow and the execution of a workflow 2. Let us take an example. Then so normally what happens is, if the execution of one workflow is completed, then only the execution of the another workflow, second workflow will get started. What happens if the second workflow got a failure? Then I have to run the job again. Then again it will be a failure, obviously, second workflow. But in the second run, it will again start from the scratch, executing the workflow 1, then executing the workflow 2. So rather than executing the workflow 1 and again come to executing the workflow 2, I would like to directly run the workflow 2 rather than running the workflow 1 again. So I would like to run the workflow 2. So that is what actually I want to do here. So running the workflow 2 directly without running the workflow 1 is the aim of the recovery mode. So for that, what I will do is I will try to create a sample, you can say that the sample jobs I'm going to create now, workflow and data flow. Just give me 1 minute for that. Okay, guys. So in order to explain the recovery mode, what I did is I have created two workflows. One workflow is having three data flows here. Data flow underscore one, underscore two, and underscore two, underscore one. And we have something called as underscore 4, 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3. So these are the three data flows, which is one workflow, and another workflow I have another three data flows actually. So what normally happens here is, let us take an example that okay, I will try to load a table of data into a different table where I doesn't have an access. Let us see that I have a SQL Server table here, connection table. Okay, I have a connection table here. Simply drag and drop the order details table. Then use the query transformation approach. So the query transformation is also not mandatory always. So the initially I have loaded into a template table. The template table I have corrected and loaded in the order details. There is one job, okay? So successfully it is running successfully. Let us take an example, the first one. And the second one is, I'm trying to take one more table actually. That one more table, this time I'm taking like suppliers, and again I will be loading into the target, like the SQL the server. It will be like suppliers. I have loaded. So after that I have gone to the next one of 4.2. Let us take an example. So after that, I will take a products table, drag and drop, and the template table, the products table here. So products table here, simply load it. Now I will execute the job. Let us see what happens. Why it is an error message? See here. Rows per parameter. Okay, not a problem. Okay, so where actually it is a problem, so we are able to execute the data flow of, see here, the data flow 1 is started and it is successful, data flow 2 started and the 2 is successful, and data flow 2 minus 1 is started and it is successful, and the data flow and workflow 0 is started and this is successful. The df underscore 4 underscore 1 is the started, and okay, no problem, Jay. Please carry on. And we have something called as df underscore 4 underscore 2 is started, and so we have something called as df underscore 4 underscore 2 is terminated here. See here. So as a whole, what I would like to tell you is all the data flows are successful and the job got a failure at df underscore 4 underscore 2. Okay. Then, okay, I have rectified some problem, I have rectified the job, I have rectified the data flow, etc., and I have executed the job here. See here, like this. what happened is again it has started the first one, second data flow, 2 minus 1, 4 1, 4 2, and at 4 2 again it got a failure. Okay, so for that, what the BOD says that why you are running all these things again, df1, df2, df2 underscore 1, 4 underscore 1. Why can't you directly jump on the 4 minus 2? Why you are running all? That is waste of time, right? So that's the reason why. So please run the job in recovery mode. So without using all these things, directly the cursor will directly go to the df underscore 4 underscore 2 automatically. So that is what part of the recovery mode. How actually we are going to have a recovery mode and all everything that we will see in tomorrow's session. So I have just given a overview of the recovery, but so how actually instead of executing the df1, df2, df2 underscore 1, how you can directly jump onto the 4 underscore 2 to see in tomorrow's session. So anything guys, any questions you have before I hang up the call? Any questions guys? Did you understand what is the recovery mode and all? Did you understand, Don, what is recovery mode? I mean to say at least the importance of it. We will see with a detailed example tomorrow. Not a problem, Don. So she will send you, not a problem. So I will inform her and will make sure that she will send you an WebEx link. Not a problem, don't do it. So actually till now we have covered almost like 25 hours. Today is the 13th session, I guess. That's what I remember. 13th session. 1 second. Let me check which section this is. 1 second, please. One second, yes, 1 second. Whatever, okay. Today is 13th session. 13th session means almost we have covered 25 hours. So, for BODS, so we have another, you can say that like 6 or 7 hours of training. Okay, so you can expect for BODS for other guys, other than your team, it will be more hours. Other than your team, it will be less hours. For you, I think it will be something like in another 7 to 8 sessions, max 10. You can say that. 7 to 8. That's it.
Venkat,
Yes, Raju.
yeah, can you please cover these two things like connecting, pulling the data and loading into the SAP, as well as like from HANA?
We are going to see that. We are also going to see the SAP HANA, and those two will see that. And also we are going to see the remaining transformations we have, something like data quality and all. And so we will see that, not a problem.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hmm. You can say max 10 sessions, Mike. Okay. So what happened, Mike? You are getting bored with the sessions or what? You're very hurry up to close all the sessions or? Oh, okay. Okay, I understand. Okay, Mike. Okay, Don. So I think, Mike, you have joined a bit late today. So please go to the recorded session. And if you have any questions, you can always get back to me. Thank you very much.